Hi there. Thank you so much for tuning into the Financial Advantage podcast powered by the Wells Funding Group. We're super excited this morning to have Jaymi Block with us. Jaymi is an amazing realtor. She's a designated managing broker at RE/MAX in Chicago, and we are super excited to have you with us, hearing more about you, the exciting things that you're doing and that your team is accomplishing here. Jaymi, welcome so much to the podcast.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I always love to get people's background, their origin story. How is it that you got started in real estate?
Oh, it's been some time. So about 22 years ago, in
Wow.
fact. And a short stint after college, I sold insurance for a little bit of time, and that didn't feel exactly right. So I took a course on the north side. It took about a week. That following week, I took the test, and then the rest is pretty much history. So
I love it. I love it. And obviously, designated manager for your office there. Um, you're surrounded, not only are you a top producer, but you have a lot of top producers around you. And what I find is like most top producing realtors see themselves as entrepreneurs. And is that the same for you? And if so, what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
absolutely. I really believe that's where a successful realtor gets their grit and their stamina. It's stories from when they were younger. I love actually to hear realtors just know that they had that sales bug in you. And we are salespeople. And it's not a negative term. That's another thing. It's not a derogatory term to be a salesperson. It's actually a gift to be able to persuade people to actually do what they are paying you to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people don't exactly know how to do what they want to do, and that's where we come into play. Yet, as a young kid, I mean, there's funny stories. As young as when I was like 8 years old, I had my own sticker business. I think that's when I started it. I used to get the free stickers out of candy, and I used to charge people based on if it was scratch and sniff or puffy or whatever. I would charge accordingly, and I had a little business. And then I also was in band, and that's when I first was introduced to door-to-door sales. So there was always those incentive programs where if you brought in the most sales, wallpaper or whatnot, we were selling gift bags, fruit baskets. And I remember I was top seller of the middle school band, and I did get a $50 US treasury bond. So
Wow.
yeah, so I really got the bug, I think, early on. I really enjoyed connecting with people.
Absolutely. And people don't, yeah, we kind of sometimes have that negative connotation about sales. But kids are the best salespeople. Like you see a little kid in the grocery store trying to talk, mom or dad into the candy or the toy or the whatever, and they'll, they rebut objections. They,
Right.
they get very creative, and yeah, exciting to hear from a young age that you were seeing the rewards of putting yourself out there
Sure.
and and getting to know people and providing something of value.
Absolutely. And I really believe that is what people oversee. It's just being like a child, right? Children don't have an ulterior motive. They have a goal, they know what they're doing, and they know they're servicing others at the same. So that's what I carry forward, because when you know you're doing the right thing, it makes it easy. You're not coercing a sale, it's bringing value. So that's exactly right.
Yep. Yeah, and I love that adage, Zig Ziglar, right? You can get everything that you want in life as long as you help enough other people get what they want. And that's where I see, our business, two sides of the same coin, helping people create wealth through real estate.
Mhm.
And if we can help people achieve their goal, our goals take care of themselves.
Absolutely. I say that actually all the time too. You help enough people, you inadvertently get what you want and or need. So I give the advice to newer agents too. Never have commission eyes. Never think about the money that you're making or not making. Just do the act, and again, do the right thing. So you mentioned Zig Ziglar. So that was one of the big people that I had followed, W. Clement Stone,
Yeah.
Jim Rohn, and then growing from that to Tony Robbins and now Gary Vee. So I'm a big proponent in just positive mindset and motivation. And many people find it through that. And there's a lot of faith-based beyond that too, within. So it's very empowering to keep that up, because you have to, right? As
Yeah.
you know, in sales, how many no's do you get? I mean, it's quite intensive, and all the experiences and all the no's. And I even have a story. I was actually thrown out of an entire city before. So going door to door. So I was just doing my job, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. But it's weird when you do things that are different, that people aren't used to. They don't know what to do with it. So it's strange.
Yeah. So have you gone door to door with real estate?
I have. I actually would like to do that again. I mean, I encourage people to do that, to introduce themselves to a neighborhood. So I'm newer to my neighborhood that I live in now. It's just a little more difficult because there are a lot more condos. Yet, I mean, I just go up to people at the park, at businesses. So essentially, I did actually go business to business, because I did do that in insurance sales too. So I've gone up and down Michigan Avenue, and I went door to door, and I hosted a few neighbors' night out. So we're looking to get that a continual theme in the neighborhood. And the businesses really enjoyed that. They said, "Thank you so much for putting this together. We just have a lot of great people in our neighborhood, and they're just looking for someone that will assist with getting everyone together." So it was great. I've done a few in my neighborhood of the South Loop.
Yes. Yes. No, that's awesome. That is amazing. Yeah. And actually one of the things that I tell people, about the podcast, well, why do you want to interview people, is that, Jim Rohn thing of success leaves clues.
Yes.
And I mean, that may have even been original to him, but it's the truth, right? When you interview with successful people, there's those common themes that keep coming up. And again, like you're saying, if you do the right activities with the right mindset and the right attitude, with the right purpose, the results will come. And
Absolutely.
yes, I think in our business, you get a yes 16% of the time. So which seems like daunting, but you can do quite well with
Right.
16% of the people telling you
Everyone's
yes.
numbers are a little different there, Dennis, but
as long as you talk to enough people, so
exactly. But it's not easy, right?
Right.
I
And
mean,
you realize that they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting your offer. That if you're in a restaurant and you've had a great meal and the waiter or the waitress comes by and said, "Would you like a dessert?" "Oh, no, thank you." It doesn't mean that I hate you, you're a terrible person, you gave me terrible service. It just means that I don't want a dessert right now, and sometimes that's all it is. It's not, the timing's not right sometimes for people.
right. Don't take it personally.
Exactly. So I know from experience, real estate is a 24/7 activity, but when you're not involved in real estate, what are some things that you like to do in your quote spare time?
Oh, it's spare time. Yeah, that's interesting that you put it that way. It actually is a 24/7, especially overlooking or being there as a leader for agents too. They have questions all the time. My children are used to that lifestyle, so they know it's just a way of life. It's a lifestyle, really.
Hmm.
So yeah, everything that I do is really incorporative to real estate. So I go to networking events. So of course I have fun. I meet colleagues, potential clients, and yet it's always business related, really. Real estate everywhere. So the good thing about that is I can write it off, right? Anywhere I go, all I have to do, I'm in Hawaii, I talk about real estate, you write it off. And being a global referral partner as well, you're in Europe, you connect deals, you write it off. So
I love it.
that's one great advantage. Yeah, I do. I would love to travel even more. I do enjoy that. I enjoy bringing my children around and giving them different opportunities and experiences at a
Hmm.
younger age. So I really believe that you learn so much just from world life experiences versus just being in a classroom. So it's definitely giving them an advantage to having like the big picture and not having
Yeah,
blinders on, right? So that there's more to life than just the USA or just Chicago, even though
yeah,
we're a big world city. So, and that was a nice switch for them too from the suburbs. So they get to see the diversity and all the inclusion out here. So that's our life is just an adventure every day. Trust me.
yeah, yeah. What are some of the favorite places that you have visited on your travels?
Oh, well, we would like to do more outside of North America, yet just even going to Disney World a few times, Universal
Yeah,
Studios, anything with that type of interaction. We love a good beach. So there's definitely been some great places in Mexico. We're adventurous though, so we're not the type that just sits at the pool at an all-inclusive resort. We are going to get the activities in. So
so you're like cliff diving and all those kinds of things.
yeah, I don't know about I've done some zip lining, I've done some
Yeah,
mid-cliff diving, not diving, jumping. Um, so I'm up for a good challenge within reason, you know,
love it. I love it.
a
So
calculated risk taker.
well, exactly, exactly. Perfect. What would you say is your real estate superpower?
Ooh, my real estate superpower. Well, I do get asked quite a bit, how do you do it? Right. So I juggle as a solo parent, as an entrepreneur. You know, I have my own investment as well as managing agents and taking care of my clients, my sphere. So how I do it is I prioritize all my priorities. So I never let anything slip through the cracks. So I use my calendar heavily. And if it's not on the list, it doesn't exist. So, you know, if it's not in my calendar, that's where it tells me where to go. And if I erase it, I must replace it. So if I ever change things, I just fill it in. So that's really, I think, being disciplined. I'm extremely disciplined when it comes to being methodical. I don't like to be tardy, so I keep things on track. I have to,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think that really is a superpower because it's the discipline. I mean, I wake up early. I'm in the 5 a.m. club. That's not always easy.
right.
Yet I want to just get every bit I can out of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent, excellent. So, obviously, you know, you're a mom, you've got kids going to school and sports and all these kinds of things. How has being a mom and running a household helped make you a more complete realtor?
That's a great question. I believe just being able to relate first and foremost to residential clients and overall just being authentic to things that happen. I believe people want realness. People are craving it more and more now, and I'm ready to bring it. I like to be real.
Hmm.
Just keep it real. So I think that is something that people really appreciate, where they don't have to have any preconceived notions or any type of facade. They can just truly be who they are. If your house is messy, I've seen messier. I've seen it at my own home. I've seen it wherever. So just to be who you are and be non-judgmental. So I come in the home, and that's one of the things in residential real estate. I will come and assess and bring in stagers and things like that if need be. So give them the great advice that they're paying me for. So
Yeah, great, great segue into my next thought. In sales, in business, bringing value is always important. I think, especially in real estate, moving forward, not only bringing value but communicating value is going to
mm,
be huge.
you,
What things do you do to add value to your clients that sets you apart from other agents?
yeah, that's a great question as well. I mean, it's nothing to put, we all were new once, right? So even with the newer agents, I always tell them to leverage out our experience with our brokerage and our office. I fortunately have had a lot of experience. I've been through many transactions, and that's really where you learn. Every transaction, literally, without being cliche, every transaction is as you understand our industry, is literally different. So there's
100%.
different nuances, and it's never like streamlined or easy. I think that's part of the challenge with the buying side of being a buying agent. People don't really realize everything that we do behind the scenes. So as a listing agent, we were always like, I'm going to do this, 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 and market your home and do this and this, and it's going to be in this paper. And as a buyer's agent, we've always been like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And then people presume, they perceive us as just a mere door opener. So
Mhm.
if that answers your question, I really want to be a leader in our industry to convey the value of a buyer agent, what we truly do. So I have had clients in even the commercial aspect, if people are familiar with the different, it's a totally different scope. So most likely a residential realtor isn't a commercial realtor. Let's face it. I just have had a lot of experience and I've taken that extra training. I like challenge. So
Yeah.
I really took on commercial as well. So for example, I've had clients on both sectors where I was able to save them money. They paid me obviously a hefty commission, but by doing so, I actually saved them more than if they didn't even pay me. So after the fact, they're a believer and then they refer me. So that's usually where I get my business, as referral, word of mouth, because when people have actually experienced it and they're like, wow, I'm so thankful that I did give you a shot, because if I didn't, I actually would have been paying more money because they would have done more work because they wouldn't have been represented. So that's what I'm putting out there. I think stories too, giving that example, being more specific. I mean, if we had more time, I would speak about that, but I do that on my own platforms, on Instagram, Facebook,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, sharing more personal experiences with how we have helped the client overcome the obstacle to get to their end result of either home ownership or business ownership.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
exciting. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that realtors do underestimate or undercommunicate their value. We both had the experience of staying at a hotel. I mean, if you're
Mm,
just looking for a place to sleep, you know, you can get them fairly cheap. But
sure.
we're all spending a premium to stay at the hotel where the conference is going to be, or the
Right.
hotel that is by Disney World, or the beach. And if they provide services that save us time, then we're willing to pay a premium for the convenience, and because we realize that there's a value on our time.
Yes.
And that's a message that I want out to get out to those buyers agents, is that, you know, all of a sudden people think, well, I can do this myself. Well,
Mm.
you can, but I mean, I can work on my own car. And if I do, it's going to take me 5 times as long and cost me 3 times as much
Sure.
as if I just take it to a mechanic who's really gifted in that and let me spend my time doing what I do best. And, I think as agents can communicate that and say, here's how I save you time. Here's
Mhm.
how I save you money. Here's how I give you opportunities that you're not going to have on your own. And oh, by the way, I only charge whatever your percentage is to do that. Oh, and of course, there's 5 different ways that we can get this, buyer's broker compensation paid. So
Mhm.
I think it's a great opportunity
I think
for agents that understand their value.
I couldn't agree more with that aspect. And to add on to not just the convenience factor, saving money, the liability that is involved. The liability that is involved on both ends, whether you're a seller, right? So there's a lot of FSBOs that have been out there. And many times, unfortunately, what I have found, because I've represented buyers against FSBOs, or, there's a reason why they're going unrepresented. There's things that they're hiding.
Mm,
So that happens a lot. And then the same instance, if a buyer is not able to be represented, the seller doesn't want to assist or whatnot. Unfortunately, they will find themselves in pitfalls where later on they will wish they had representation. It's just full circle. We got into the situation that we were working with the buyer agent because they needed representation, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother story. That's why, mark my words, I feel pretty strong to say that what we're going through now will most definitely be revamped and changed when enough people, unfortunately, are affected. And my main concern is working with many disadvantaged homeowners who don't have funds to pay for additional closing costs, who don't have the means of being educated in different ways. They're the ones that are affected the most, as well as our veterans.
Hmm.
Shameful, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm a
Yeah.
big proponent. I help the veterans. I educate my sellers. I educate other agents on VA loans and FHA loans. They're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been a big proponent for many years. And what I have found in life in general, with real estate not to be excluded, is when people don't understand it, they just back off. Instead of educating themselves, they'll just be like, oh, that's not good. That's not right. Without actually learning why. Why is that? Well, I don't know. It's not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and you touched on something that's important to me, the VA buyer.
yeah,
A lot of the confusion is, I guess my son's in the military, have family members that have served, and what people don't understand is, they think, oh, that it's 100% loan. They don't have any skin in the game. It's like, as if, you know, signing away, 4 to 6 or more years of your life is not enough skin in
right.
the game, right? But, statistically, your veteran has a higher credit score than conventional. They have
Yes.
more money in the bank than a conventional buyer. So because of, and we can actually, get a reconsideration of value straight from the VA. So they're not held to the same standards as FHA, USDA, because the general idea is, if it's good enough for the veteran, it's good enough for VA. I mean, obviously, if there's some safety issues, they're going to
Sure.
want to deal with those, which
Sure.
I would think any seller would want to anyway, regardless of loan program or if they're paying in cash. But the veteran has the ability to do a lot of things that a conventional even buyer can't do,
Yeah.
simply because they have access to a 100% loan, which I think is the greatest thing that we do for our veterans. So that and the
Yeah,
GI Bill.
it's the least we could do. But
Yeah.
under the new rules, as you know, so they have allowed them to, as you know, they weren't able to assist with their own or get any different type of concessions. So now they have released that portion. Yet
Hmm.
there's still a lot of work to be done, as you know.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, right? Stay tuned as
Yeah.
things unfold. They have to change. They must change, and we really do need to be the leaders in our industry where we care. So
Yeah.
that's when people say, well, what do you do? We're more than just, yeah, maybe there are some that are just door openers and they're in it part-time or not putting down part-timers, but they don't have the same skin of the game themselves, right? It's just, they don't have that same longevity. Like I always kind of put a joke on there in a sense where I'm not a one-hit wonder. There are a lot of people that, even big agents, right? They advertise heavily. And the reason why they do that for 20, 30 plus years is because they're not getting a sphere of influence or a referral base, because unfortunately, maybe they rub them the wrong way. They're just thinking with those dollar signs in their eyes. And that is just the worst way to conduct business in my opinion, ethically and in a strong business sense. So I am always educating the agents at our office to just deepen those relationships. And I think we all know, we hear that word all over now, right? Relationships. I mean, you'll hear it with Amazon and Google and all the big brokerages, not just real estate. People are definitely, they want true relationships. So it is just getting hand in hand with the AI. I talk about that a lot too, why it's really important to have a brick and mortar real estate company too. I am affiliated with Remax right now. It's the #1 name, recognized name in real estate, 51 years. So it's virtually, the balloon is the Nike swoosh sign of real estate. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
So I think then people have authenticity and truth and belief in that. It's like having the verified check mark on your social media. I didn't do that to act like I have a million followers. I did that to give my clients the confidence that when they interact with me, it's verifiably me. So I want them to feel comfortable. And I think in this day and age, again, when AI can do this interview for me without it being me, we need to be aware and utilize that for our advantage, but not let it take over.
Yeah,
You know?
yes, absolutely. Seeing where automation can enhance what you're doing, but never
Exactly.
take over, the things
Never.
that only a realtor can do, that only a
Yeah.
lender can do. A computer can't look at a house and say, you might need to take a look at this thing, where a good realtor can. That things are
Mhm.
gonna jump out to you that aren't
Sure.
going to jump out to even a normal person that is not seeing the number of houses that you're seeing.
Yeah, the AI that's out there is actually very intuitive. It's very smart. It can look even through listings and get a sense of what you like. Say you stay on a page longer, it starts to realize and resonate like, oh, every single time there's a kitchen, they stay on the page with the white cabinets longer than the ones that aren't white cabinets. I don't know if you're aware of this.
No.
They're that smart.
Yep.
So in that sense, they can assist, yet in adding on what you said, emotional. This is the one most emotional purchase ever you're going to
Yep.
have. So when you hear people talk about what it means to them, right, to get the home, and that's been another aspect in our industry. When you put an offer in, they call it love letters. So a lot of sellers and agents, they say, I don't want any love letters when you submit your offer. And I am a love letter. I'm definitely pro love letter. So that just puts in perspective. The seller likes that too. They want to know, oh, the buyer that's coming in, they have a couple kids and they really love the swing set back there. If you would like to just leave it, leave it. It's just a consideration. And yet everyone just gets really right away and they go, oh, it could be a litigating factor. What if the person that's submitting the offer is of this descent or this race or this or what? And it just gets really wild unnecessarily. So
Yeah.
I just like to lead on that. Again, there's more good people in the world than not. And if
Hmm.
we come into that situation and there is something where someone's taking advantage of a tool that we have to, do wrong, then we'll deal with it. But
Right.
let's not live in a world where we constantly change things for the bad guys and then they win. So
Right. Exactly. And to your point, I mean, you know, part of the process of selling the house is feeling that, that someone is going to love it as much as you love it. And
yeah.
so if you get that, you know, the communication of, here's who we are, here's what we're wanting to do, and then you can be like, I can let it go because I know that it's, my baby is going into good hands.
Exactly. And I believe a good agent in residential real estate should be able to convey that or care, have enough sympathy and empathy if they've been through it or not to assist in the transaction. Again,
Yeah.
commercial is another animal and there's not that emotional aspect in it, right?
Right.
So, but as far as residential, and you're primarily residential lender, it's very important to the people. And again, you would be doing a disservice to your client if you don't care about what matters to them. So
Right.
I always work beyond that. So actually going back to your other question about what makes you different, I think all that experience and truly caring, being authentic, being genuine. And then the other aspect too, I do have influence with vetted out professionals, right? I've worked with a lot of lenders. I've worked with a lot of attorneys. I have really great relationships where they want to continue relationships with me. So I'm confident that they're going to give good service. They're not going to drop the ball, right?
Yep.
And I don't do that with my partners either. I never throw anyone under the bus because, we have clients with all different personalities. So
Hmm.
I just always stay in a state of, non-discerning, just non-judging, and just listen to what's going on and just solution-based. That's, I think, what I do well. I mediate pretty good and negotiate pretty strongly,
Yeah.
think tough when I have to.
Yeah. Well, and I think you hit on that solution base. It's like there's one of my favorite movie lines from Sully when he's learning how to fly and he's with his instructor and his instructor says, Sully, whatever happens, just fly the plane. And that's really how it is. It's how it is in life, but I think especially in this business, I totally agree. No transaction is exactly the same because you have, every person is different,
Yeah.
and every situation is different. The market is different from, day to day, month to month.
Yes.
And so there's always an essence of, oh, well, this is going on. So now we do this and we get the plane back on course. And, it's working together as a team to, make sure that we end up with the solution that we want, that the end, keeping the end in mind for sure.
No, I couldn't agree more with that you have to have that and be positive. So,
Yeah.
but I work with a lot of people that are like, oh, this is falling apart and I don't give up. Right. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. I don't give up on my own personal deals. And I've been able to assist my own agents in my office too, because I'm like, let's find a solution. We can
Yeah.
figure this out. Sometimes even say a lender doesn't have a certain program, but somebody else does. It's simple as that. Or many times it's just lack of communication is what it really is a lot. Someone thinks they said this, another person says that. So yeah, we have 2 ears for a reason. I always say that too. So even though
Yeah.
I'm a big talker, people are like, oh, you love to talk. I actually love to listen even more because that's,
Nice.
I really learn the most. I mean, if people would just stop, listen, and also when you're interacting with people, truly listen,
Yeah.
intently listen. Don't just listen in order to react and speak. So you deal with people a lot where you're looking at them and they're not even listening to anything you say. And then when they start to speak, it's totally irrelevant to the conversation. And they just wanted to like be quiet in order to like speak again. So that are, they're just lifelong tools, I think, that I've learned along the way that has helped. So yeah, I mean, I'm very positive for the future in real estate and for our industry. I think that it will weed out, if you will, a lot of the people that don't want to partake in, I wouldn't say the new norm. It's just, it's going to be changing, but people that do have an ulterior motive, it will weed out those people. And the people that are true and genuine, it will definitely be felt by their clients. So
Yeah.
they'll stay successful. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. 100%. The people that are committed to themselves, to the career, to their clients,
Mhm.
I think the sky's the limit for sure.
Definitely. We'll
So,
keep
well,
going. They're not going to get rid of us this soon, Dennis.
no, not at all, not at all. Jamie, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. It's
Pleasure.
been a
Thank
true
you.
pleasure to get to interview you for sure.
It was great. It was great, Dennis. Anytime.
So, and I'm sure that a lot of people listening would love to get in contact with you. What is the best way if they wanted to reach out to get a hold of you?
Sure. Well, of course, I'm on all the platforms of social media. My name, Jaymi Block. It's a little different, Jaymi. So a lot of times people will type that. My number is 708-655-5000. And I've had that number for a long time as well. It's my direct cell. I do accept texts. And I'm on Instagram as Jaymi from the Block, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So definitely always willing to connect with people and follow me, other brokers too, because we have a lot of great seminars that I open up to agents of all brokerages. And it's not in some slimy way to want to recruit people. They're always welcome to have a confidential interview. Yet I believe if we educate each other and we're in this as a whole, and we can learn from one another and not always look at each other as competitors, yet collaborators, it's definitely a win-win for everyone. So feel free.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you again for being a part of the Financial Advantage podcast, sponsored by the Wells Funding Group. And you can reach myself and the team at 219-230-8400 or wellsfundinggroup.com. Jaymi, thank you again.
You got it, Dennis.
Bye-bye.